Geralt!
Get back!
Hello everybody, my name is Guiden, and today I will be talking about the Quen sign. As you can see, the Quen sign is one of Geralt and other Witcher's trusty sidekicks when it comes to protecting themselves from their enemies. Being able to survive practically unharmed from a giant fireball falling on top of them and killing all of their enemies. Unfortunately, the Quen sign card in Gwent doesn't stack up too much like its counterpart in the Witcher series. Today I wanted to really talk about the Quen sign card and its place in the game currently in Gwent. Now, since this is closed beta, this is a fantastic opportunity to put some insight from my perspective and yours as well. You feel free to talk in the comments, that's always appreciated. Now, the Quen sign as of now is really not used all too much, if not ever, especially in high-ranking leaderboard games. I've never seen it used in tournaments, very seldom in ranked at all, and occasionally, very rarely in casual mode. I myself decided to make a Nilfgaard reveal deck and use Quen sign, and my win rate wasn't all that great. In fact, the only games that I won or drew were games that I didn't really draw the card at all. Now, as it stands, the Quen sign is fairly straightforward. Its effect is to select one unit, and all units in your hand or deck get a shield. The shield will protect you from the next strength removing effect. It's not bad, but it's not necessarily good either. And considering deck archetypes and other things, even bronze cards have very competitive slots when it comes to specials and other units. So Quen is really going to have a hard time trying to find itself to fit in a deck. It can be extremely useful in certain situations, but outside of those certain situations it could really be a dead card. One of the weaknesses with the Quen sign is you can't use it on a card currently on the board. So let's say in this instance we're watching the game right now. If I had the Quen sign and I wanted to use it on the spotter that I have on the board, I could not. I could only use them on the spotters in my hand that would affect both them in the hand and the deck. So at this point, Quen is already looking like to be having a drawback. Now, I've spent probably a good last week or so really thinking on what kind of card I could change this Quen sign into. And I had a few ideas. So, bear with me, they may be a tad too strong or too weak. So, I'm trying to find the perfect balance of utility and tempo, because that's what Quen really didn't have. It was kind of a dead card in terms of tempo, sort of like Amir's leader ability. You can see cards from your hand, but you really don't do anything to affect the board. Now, the first option I had with the Quen sign was with the positioning patch. With all these new changes, I figured this would be a fantastic opportunity to change the card into something else. So my first thought was having a card target 3 units, you pick your target unit and its adjacent units, and they all get buffed, as well as a shield. Now, originally I planned for this to have Witcher synergy, so if one of those 3 units in the Quen sign, or the initial targeted unit was a Witcher, even if the other 2 adjacent units were not, they would all get 3 strength instead of 2 strength. But seeing how CD Projekt Red is no longer going to be having Witcher synergies in Gwent, I decided to scrap that. The second option for the card was quite simply the same idea, but the unit you target specifically and initially gets the 3 strength, and its adjacent units get 2 strength. So it'll end up being a 7th strength bronze with shields for those 3 units. Now, that should protect you from weather. The shield can protect from things like Alzor's Thunder, Lacerate, which is more important because it affects more units, and you don't really get to see it much, but the shield also protects against weather. So once you get hit by weather and you have a shield, that unit can be protected. Now, if there's a second weather effect that happens later on top of that, well, you're kind of SOL. But having something that can protect from weather on non-weather immune cards is really useful. Now, my final thought on how to make Quen just a really useful card was something similar to Triss Butterfly. You play the card, and all 3 units that you get to pick in your hand get 3 strength and a shield. These effects only last until the end of the turn that they've been played on. So if you hold these cards in your hand, they'll still have the effect. But if you play them, and the card has some sort of resilience, they'll lose that effect into the next round. So again, these are just some suggestions that can be made. We have the positioning patch, so the second option I mentioned is viable. The numbers can obviously be tweaked. It's closed beta, this is the perfect time to do it. The third option, the Triss Butterfly-like effect, could be very useful as a neutral card. You have cards like Octavist and other cards such as Smuggler. You can use the Quen sign on them, and they will be protected from cards like Alzor's Thunder. So it really can add a lot of utility to Quen sign protecting key bronze and silver units. I see a lot of potential in Quen being a good card, and with this positioning patch, it's perfect time to try out new things for Quen sign. It's closed beta, as I said earlier in the video. This is the best time to do it. And I hope they can make some interesting changes to other lesser played cards as well. I don't think it's possible to have every single card in Gwent being completely viable, and I think some cards will always be better than others, including starter cards. They're obviously for beginners and should never be seen in the light of day in higher tier decks. So that's about it for everything. I hope you guys take a good think about it, see if you like the changes or not, and if you have any suggestions for your kind of Quen sign. So, side note, I finally got my games to 60 FPS, and I hope you enjoyed that as well. So, this is Guiden, and thanks for watching.